Let's take a second.
Whoa.
And we are officially live. Welcome, everybody, to the series collaboration with Made of Millions on mental health and creativity. My name is Megan. I'm going to be your host. I'm the founder and creator of 2020 Arts. And today we have a very special and technically last episode in the series with Andre. And the episode is called On Art, OCD and Creativity. Andre is a Toronto-based artist, muralist, photographer, producer, curator, the list goes on. And we're going to be kind of talking about everything throughout this. So if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them. We'll try to get to them as we can. This particular interview had a lot of questions set out on Instagram ahead of time, so we'll try to get to all of those as well. So, Andre, let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm like, you had like such a good introduction, honestly. I'm like an artist, Toronto-based artist, and I've graduated from OCAD maybe like 7 years ago, so in like 2013, 2014. And in terms of like my practice, I think I'd consider myself like I'd always kind of seen myself as an artist, but as my practice, I think it kind of technically started when university kind of began, and I kind of took like a path kind of towards the art career. And so I guess in a way that kind of is like the beginning of how I kind of put myself in the radar, I guess, in a way for the Toronto arts kind of community that we have here. And I'm kind of a dork, and I like playing music on the side, and that's basically my summary of me. And I like keeping busy a lot.
Fair enough. That's a pretty good summary, I would say. So, we're going to start like super light. We're just going to like dive right into the subject matter here. So as anybody's read the description leading up to this, you've experienced OCD symptoms since you were 7 years old. And I think one thing that's a consistent theme throughout all of these conversations is that a lot of people don't know about mental health. They don't know about OCD or depression. So when they start experiencing symptoms, it's sort of confusing and rather jarring. I know, at least from my experience, that's how it was. So when you were young, did you ever learn about what OCD was, how it manifested?
Like how young were you thinking? Like young as in like toddler, or young as like 7 or 8 years old?
Do you remember learning about OCD when you were?
Okay, so like I think I like heard of that word in crossing maybe when I was like 5 or 6. I don't even know. I think that was kind of ambiguous until maybe I was like, honestly, maybe when I was 12 or 13. I guess that's considered young still, because I'm still technically just getting into a teenager. But I think that was majorly when I had realized what it was. I guess I can tell you like a quick scenario of what happened. Yeah. But basically, like, I guess like when you're like 12, 13, you're like grade 7 kind of in Canada here. So it's like the beginning of our puberty phase or rebuttaling kind of phase. And so I was like kind of rebelling a lot to my parents, and I'd be getting in trouble a lot. And I remember like I wanted to go to the mall or something one time, and they wouldn't like let me go, and I still was just like, I'm gonna go anyways. And I just like went, and then I just like ended up like walking around the mall, and then for some reason I like ended up at obviously one of the chapters, or like the Indigos at the time, in the self-help section, like a 12-year-old me, like looking at like just random books about like just things that I was like feeling at the time because I was so angsty. And I remember just like, when you're scrolling down the self-help sections, you see like, relating words that you're like, okay, like depression, or like, anxiety, or like feeling good. Like those titles kind of drew to me. And I'd be like flipping through, and I remember I like passed through like an OCD workbook, and I was just like, I like picked it up and I like read the back, and like I just gravitated towards it, and I like read the back, and I remember I was like, it'd be so funny if I had this, but I'm like, whatever, I'll just like read a page. And I like read one page and then read another page, and then like literally like 20 minutes later, which is a lot of time for me for reading, I was just like, oh my God, do I have it? And like I was like too young to understand what it was. So I like I remember just like putting it back and just like putting another book in front of it. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna hide this away. And I just remember like at that time I was just like, what did I just find out about myself? And you know what? I'm too young. It's fine. If it's something that's like, it'll come up later on. And I just like dropped it. And I mean, I was good for like, I had tendencies that were always like correct from the book. Like I was reading this book and I remember there were a lot of tendencies that like, I was like, this is what I'm doing. So, I mean, I think I learned at a young age technically what it was, but it really actually came out maybe like I'd say my last year of OCAD. So like my 4th year, so 2012, I think is when it like just like fully came out, which technically is when it's supposed to show its face when you're like kind of going through like midlife crisis or like kind of going through a major transition. And that's why like OCD comes out in children too, right? So it comes out first in children when they're like 5 or 6, and then like they don't know what's really going on, or some people get it really bad and it's part of their life until they're adolescent, and maybe it kind of disappears or maybe it comes back. And yeah, it kind of comes throughout different stages, I would say. But yeah, that I would say that's how I found out at the beginning.
Can you tell us a little bit about your 4th year at OCAD and how it sort of manifested and presented itself?
Yeah, totally. And like full disclaimer, like I'm totally okay with like talking about stuff that, you know, might sound deep, and like, and I really do respect that, like, you know, like first off, some of the support that I've been getting, but also just like sharing information that's personal and like people understanding it. So like I'm really glad that like, you know, whether we're getting deep and, you know, all mushy and all personal, it's cool. I get it. But yeah, so basically, I have like a weird kind of upbringing, you can say. Like I grew up playing music. So I grew up playing in bands, and specifically I played in like metal bands growing up through high school. And we were always like, the funny thing is like, we were always the same band, but we were just changing names. We played shows, we were doing our thing, we were doing great. And we just kept changing names because we wanted to like keep changing the project for it to be like better, bigger, you know, the next transition. And I think like, oh my God. And now that I think about it, and I'll try to summarize it really quick, but basically it was like my 4th year. I had spent like 2 or 3 years in my basement writing like an EP, which is like a 5-song kind of album, you can say. And I swear to God, I think my band spent like $3,500 on like the whole recording production, getting it mastered, doing it all. It may have even been more than $3,500, but you know, something that was a lot, and I had spent a lot of time in. And then, you know, we were just so ready to tour, and I was just so ready to do it. And then I think when the time finally came, everyone almost wasn't down, I guess, because everyone was still finishing school except for maybe me and maybe 1 or 2 other people. And so we kind of broke up. Like we kind of had to, because it was just kind of like just like this realization, and I guess kind of closure, kind of knowing that like we weren't ready to fully commit. And so I kind of felt like, pardon my language, but I felt like I got shat on like really hard by like some of my best friends. And I just didn't feel like, oh dude, I felt like so awful at the time because I didn't have like anything, and I was just like writing music, and I didn't even want to like finish OCAD really. So I was so ready to like just drop out and go on tour and whatever. And yeah, so the universe kind of adjusted, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was heading into my last year. I didn't get into thesis because not everyone gets into thesis at OCAD, and I was like into drawing and painting because that was like my program, but like I wasn't really like into it. Like I was like kind of just doing it to get by. And I think it was through that I started painting a little bit. But what happened was like I went through like a period of isolation, I think, where I just felt so awful and shitty, and it would just be a prolonged time. And literally it would be like a month or 2, and then I shit you not, by the 3rd month, like something cracked. I think I remember one day I just had gotten an anxiety attack and I didn't even know what that was. And then I started like ruminating about some crazy ass things that I was like, whoa, what did I just think of? Like, I just remember specifically like going downstairs and just like, it's like, I'm like groggy and like, I just see like a butter knife. And then like my poor grandma's just like getting ready to pick it up and just like cleaning. And all I can think of is just like grabbing it and just stabbing her, right? And just like literally just like killing her. And I just was like freaked out, I guess. Like it was almost like a nightmare kind of situation. I was just thrown off and I didn't know why I had that thought. And then it started like carrying on to me, like, you know, like I'd commute to school from because I'm like based out of Vaughan, and I'd commute to school and like I'd be waiting for the subway and literally like I'd like have that thought where I'm like, oh, there's like 2 people in front of you right now. You should totally, like when the car's coming, like how messed up would it be if you just like push them, like, and just watching them just explode. And like, I was like, whoa, like censor, like my brain was just throwing at me like something that started getting more violent. And then like it started showing up in weirder places as I started feeling weaker, as I started being a little bit more fearful of these thoughts. It started getting stronger. And I remember the girlfriend I had at the time was like very supportive, but I think I knew it was starting to get serious after she started getting more worried. And I wasn't able to like, I was doing my thing and I was still like existing and living my life, but she kind of knew I was I started to like obsess, like maybe like 50% of the day, maybe even more. Like it wasn't just the rituals. I was like, I wasn't really like doing anything compulsive. My brain was just rerunning or replaying the same event over and over again. And what happened was that like I ended up starting to like exist in life, living like that, where I'd wake up and just have like instant anxiety, and I'm just like, huh, well, the first obsession is going to start, and literally just like anything I would start thinking of, my brain would start throwing something bad at me, right? And then at first it was like, okay, cool, it's just words, it's fine. But when it started getting violent, it started getting more sexually intrusive. And then I started like, you know, like throwing myself off with like my identity and questioning that, where it turned more of like an existential problem, where I started being like, who am I turning into? And it started scaring me. And like, I mean, like it started getting to the point where, yeah, when I was commuting, that would happen. So I would started driving. But then when I started driving to school, I would start like imagining like killing people while I was driving. And so I wouldn't know if I had hit someone. And then so I would go home and like look at the news and like wait until like my name would come up, and then like nothing would nothing would happen. And then I would be like, no, it's not, like that's not cool. Like I need to sleep it off, because I was like actually like a compulsion I had, where I'd like sleep off my obsession because I didn't know if it was real or not, and I had no one to talk to, and I was so confused what was going on to me, because I was feeling dissociated. I was feeling like not myself, so I had to like keep sleeping it off. And then like as time went by, like obviously my girlfriend started like showing signs of being like worried, and then I just started kind of noticing, being like, okay, truthfully, like I'm like in this mindset almost like all the time. And I think I need to start reaching help soon. And when I finally had started reaching help, it already had gone pretty bad. So I initially had went to the ER first, and then after they like moved me to like one of the hospitals that was like closer to my house, where I would like talk to like a psychiatrist or a therapist, and like we would like kind of work things out. And then then I got like transferred to another hospital, and then I was like seeing that psychologist for a bit, but I was put on medication right away, and that was kind of why I had to check up on them so often. And then it was just one of those things where they just didn't really know how to explain to me. It was just like, oh, this is like severe OCD. You're just going through like an existential type of crisis in your life, or point where your like depression, your anxiety seems to like just overloaded your brain, and like your brain's just falling into its safe mode, and its safe mode is like doing these compulsions, or to think like to think like that, you know, if you have control of everything in your life, then nothing could happen that would be bad. Like nothing bad would happen, and you would have ultimate safety, right? So that was kind of that was kind of like the main thing. And oh, I think you're cutting up. Can you hear me still? Oh, sick.
Okay, we're good.
Oh, good. We're good.
Momentary
Yeah.
connection.
But yeah, that was it. Yeah, like it came out initially then, and I had to like reach out because it got so bad. And there's actually like a very long story technically of how I kind of got to where I am now in terms of recovery. But I did reach out to like many different support groups, and like, you know, at a time where I was like really sick, all I was thinking about was OCD, but I didn't tell anyone at all except for my parents, so maybe like 2 or 3 friends that I had. And yeah, I think you're cutting out again, but it's like freezing a bit. I think you're frozen, and we're just gonna wait and see if it loads.
Oh my God.
Oh, are you back? You're back. What happened?
I'm so sorry. My internet has picked this moment to stop working.
Oh, no.
But now I'm tethering it from my partner's phone, so we should be good.
Oh my God.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
No.
You were in the middle of saying something, and I was like on the edge of my seat, and now I have to ask you to repeat it. I'm so sorry.
No, not at all. No, dude.
You know what?
Don't even.
This is the nature of Zoom calls and video calls in the age of COVID. So
yeah. I mean, yeah, the world's crazy right now. Here we are doing this, so I know it's okay. Don't even worry. Like, I mean, whoever's listening, we're back. If you're whoever's still there, I don't even know.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody, for your patience. And I'm so sorry. But okay. From the last thing that I heard, obviously, since that happening, you've seeked out help, talked to a therapist, and are you currently on medication?
Yeah, I'm currently on medication. I'm on like almost a max dose, almost.
So how has your relationship with OCD changed since that happened in your last year at OCAD? Because that was 7 years ago, right?
Oh my God. Yeah. So like, it's a funny kind of story where I kind of ended off. Basically, I'm going to try to summarize it really quick. I was really lost. I didn't really have anything going for me. I had started like painting a little bit more. And I think at the moment where I was like the weakest, where I really didn't know like how I was going to like, if I was going to be alive in the next year, like I had a really weak point. I started painting, and the painting started turning out all right. And I started just trying to get through it. And I was doing the paintings, and I think like my classmates and like my teachers like really liked the work. And then I don't know, I kind of felt a little bit more confident. And then I think the following March, I applied to a open call show that was for a gallery called Creatures Creating. And it was, at the time, it was curated by actually the really popular artist, Cal Schwab. He like had put on the show, if I can remember correctly. And he had one of my pieces in there. And I remember when I dropped it off at Creatures Creating, that was the first time that I met Darren. And he is the guy that I work for now, like big on Bluer. And I just remember like showing up with like a painting or two and just being like, listen, like this is supposed to go to my show, like a show that I'm in, like my name's Andre. And like I was just like so nervous. And I just remember like there were two other artists that was there at the time. And it was like my friend Tong and my friend Kevin. And I think they like looked at my painting and they're like, yo, like you're a painter, man. And I was just like, what? Like, I'm not a painter. I'm just like doing these paintings so I don't fail my class. And they're just like, no, like you're a painter. And I was just kind of looking and like, I was just like, okay. And then like, I remember Darren was just like, hey, like, we really like your stuff. Like, and like on the side of like the show that we're going to put on, like, do you want to like work with us? Because we're still like looking for artists to like be on our roster. And I remember I was like so confused and I was just like, what the hell is going on? And like, I like didn't really know. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I want to be on your roster because he like showed us, like, he was like, here, like these are the artists that's here right now. And ironically, he had introduced me to like some of the like really big artists actually, now that I think about it, that were in the studio. So like we had like Erin Laree, which I met her really early, Stella Cade, Ellie Smallwood, I think like Rosalind Breen. We had like a bunch of artists that was like, I guess we were the Creatures crew, and I didn't know what it was. So it was the first time I had learned what an art community was, because I'm from like the music scene, right? So I didn't really even know what, I didn't even know people did this really. I just know like I was like, oh, like it's kind of like a hip gallery thing. Let's just see how it goes. And I was like, imagine this is like the beginning to something. Like imagine you like ended up being like an artist, or like you actually just went like balls to the wall and just did it. And what happened was, after that first show, I don't know, like I started hanging out with the Creatures crew more. I remember starting to like, I until this day, I think I'm the only artist that actually paid Darren $100 for a year-long membership to just be in this gallery. And I remember showing up on weekends when there were like no events and there were like life drawing or something, or some weird event that they had booked the gallery to. And I'm just sitting there being like, oh, hey, Darren, I thought there was an event tonight, so I'm here. And like Darren would be like, okay, like sure, like what's up? And he like, I was like kind of like a dork. I just really like was like just like trying to like fit in and not really sure whether like I was fitting in. And like at the time, because of my OCD, I was like pretty vulnerable. So all I could do is just sit there or stand there like kind of like in my mind, but like kind of, you know, just nodding whenever everyone's asking me stuff, and I'm trying to stay friendly. And literally, like, as time went by, I started realizing it was through the connection of friends, but also it was through human connection that I was able to get over my OCD as a whole. And it obviously comes back throughout waves, and there'll be periods of time where I'd be, you know, suffering. But honestly, like, it's been a while, and it's like, I think I'm probably at the best I've ever been, honestly. And I think a lot of it has to do with me realizing that human connection might be one of the big secrets to one of the cures to this. I think it's hard to talk about, but yeah.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like OCD is one of those mental illnesses that is really poorly understood, and people use it to describe, I don't know, wanting things to be in order or organized. And so people use this phrase, oh, I'm so OCD, or whatever it is. And so I think there's a lot of stigma around this particular disorder. What is one thing that you wish people understood about OCD?
Oh, man. That straight up, as a sufferer, and as someone who has it, it is it is some serious shit. It's not like, it's not something you can compare it to. Like, some people can have like these tendencies where they're accounting and being like a perfectionist and making sure things are perfectly in order. And maybe that's kind of like in the realm of like the OCD, which is like the obsessive compulsive personality disorder kind of thing. But like straight up OCD, I think oh, it's kind of a demon. It is a monster for some people. And sadly to say, I have many friends that this monster has gotten so big that they can't even reach out. It's not like, yeah, it's not something that's it's it's something that is a stigma, and I wish more people realized it. And I think there's a lot of problems with our healthcare system alone that, like, I think a lot of sufferers cannot get the type of help they need. But yeah, it's a monster, definitely.
Yeah.
And I wish people knew that more. And I wish people knew that, like, if it wasn't so shitty, I don't think there'd be so many people that are like in the world that are advocates towards mental health and also OCD, So I think it is a serious thing. And I think it's also like it has to do with like a chemical imbalance too. It's not just like, I don't know, it's not just like the personality. It's just generally like a wire in your brain is just short circuiting at certain moments of time, you can say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important for people to know.
Yeah.
I wonder if your OCD or your mental health has influenced or inspired your work in any way.
Okay, yeah, it does. But I don't know if to be honest, I don't know if anyone till this day even knows, but most of the titles in my 2013 paintings are all just like one word, like sad ass names, sad ass emo names, just like literally like I have so many paintings, like one's just drowning, the other one's like crawl, the other one's spoiled, and I had like another one called like sheltered. I had like a lot of things that like, were one word, and it was like kind of like, it wasn't obvious, but the original type of work that I was doing in 2013 was like really drippy, really like the line work was overly obsessive, that was for sure. And it was like an overkill of so many things, but that was kind of like what it was the aesthetic for. Like the aesthetic was that. And I felt that like my character implemented a lot of the color palette. So it was always bright and it was always like abstract and inviting. And they were like these architectural or like psychological landscapes, you can say, because it was talking about this human psyche. It was always kind of playing that. And a lot of my work till this day is really digital, and it's overly perfectionistic, I guess. And people know it's part of my aesthetic, but like low key, it's just part of my OCD. Like, it's just like I need it to be like that. And I think people are starting to catch on, but it's like one of those things where like, yeah, I think it's like an OCD thing. Like, it has to be like perfect.
I'm going to share this on screen. I don't know if you see this.
Yeah.
So we're just going to dive in. Just for anybody who might be listening, who hasn't taken a little visit to Andre's website, you can see his works. You've got an extensive body of work. Any like background on the names of these?
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah. So that one right there. Yeah, that one is a 2020 piece, and it's like 16 by 20, so it's not too big. And it's the piece is called Looper because the idea of it is kind of like a loop. I was caught up in a very it's interesting because these are kind of relating to OCD, but the themes, and when you're submitting this to a gallery, you're not going to tell them, oh, like my OCD told me to do it. Like, they're going to be like, what? Like, but like obviously there's a lot of like if I was to write about this piece, I don't think I would mention OCD at all, so it would just be kind of something else. But Looper, the painting loops actually, and it causes your eye to loop around just where that middle of that orange aura is, and it is talking about a loop and cycle that we're living in as well in terms of COVID, because like we were self-isolating. A lot of us were just kind of living the same day or week over and over again. And a lot of us that don't have work, and a lot of us that, is staying at home, I find I'm not the only one that can say this. We're like living the same day. And so Looper is just talking about like this cycle that I was kind of caught into too, because this painting took like, oh my God, like it took like a month and a half to do. And it wasn't really that it took so long that I couldn't think of what I was doing. It was just because like I was going at it so slow, and I had so many things I wanted to touch up on. And, like part of my OCD brain was just like, no, like you need to still do this. You still need to fix this. You still need to fix this. There's still this variation to do. And my brain would just be calculating so many things. So that cycle ended up kind of looping itself too. So I wasn't able to conclude this piece until maybe a month and a half or 2 months later. And it was actually like the first piece I did when I came back from Europe. So if you can see, like I was quite energetic, and I was quite loopy too, you can say.
Honestly, hearing you explain it, like it really, like you definitely feel that, like your eye kind of moves all around the piece.
Yeah.
All comes together in the center there.
Mm-hmm.
We have one question that I'm going to try to address as many questions as for anybody listening as
Yes.
we go along, but
Absolutely.
I'm going to try and move it into this conversation. So Loy asked that your earlier work seemed more drippy / wet painty compared to your more recent work. Does that have anything to do with your state of mind during those times?
Yeah, yes, it did. It did. The drip thing. Yes. Okay. So I guess a little bit of the art kind of side. A lot of my drip paintings in 2013 is actually referencing the now passed away artist Denise Tomasis. She is a abstract painter, African American, New York based, I think. Who I was like looking at the work, and I was absolutely so into it, and I was like looking into why she was doing these architectural abstractions, and a lot of it was talking about confinement. A lot of it was talking about prison cells or prisons that a lot of people were contained in. She was talking about specifically some of the African American culture, but the architectural space itself and the structures that I was like really inspired by had a lot to do with these prisons, these this cage, this idea of being held captive almost, right? So I took that, and I was like, I kind of like went with that idea. So and I really like that she was doing a lot of the drippy stuff. So yes, as you can see, she's brought up a lot of that is just like splurge of noise, and a lot of it is literally just like an overkill of color and structure. And maybe like you can see, obviously my brain is very loud, and and yeah, so a lot of it was like I was trying to get into that realm where Denise Tomasis, some of her work felt to me like a little bit like kind of like almost like a Basquiat kind of thing, but more architectural and more. It was very schizzy, like schizophrenic, like, and I liked it like that. And so when you're going through these ones, you're like, it's kind of skitsy almost, because they're so like clowny, it's so colorful, it's like so poppy, and a lot of it is like my character. But a lot of it was also just like what I was feeling at the time. These are technically like my own personal documentation too, right? So since they were labeled like one word emo ass names like shelter and crawl, like scatterbrain, damp, like stuff like that. I had another one was like youth. Like I will always remember those names, and simply because not only were they like also some of them were song names, some of them were like thesauruses, but they made sense for those paintings, and it made sense for me to almost date that as my journal for that day. That was my documenting, or for my own personal documentation, just for me to know, that's where I was at that point in time. And literally that was the starting point. Originally it was just to like talk more about like the drippiness was just to talk more about like, yeah, the psychological, drippy, emotional, kind of going into like that realm. But I guess the architecture part of it was kind of what the context was kind of based around. So I was able to evolve through that. But I had always wanted to tie my work into a psychological aspect. So even now, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is more digital. I guess you can say they're psychological landscapes, but now I'm starting to say like they're like kind of like neural pathways you know, like, because they're curved, and a lot of it's talking about like interdimension and interconnection, right? Which, by the way, like, that is why we're all so connected, right? Like we're literally interconnected. So like I'm really interested in that and energy and stuff like that. So that kind of is starting to come out in my work, which is interesting. But there is still an obsessive nature with, you can kind of tell everything is still very busy, or like, you know, it's been like been very specifically placed, you can say.
Definitely. Hearing you talk about it, it like makes so much sense to me. And I see even through the work that you were doing in 2013, which was your third year at OCAD?
Yeah, it was actually my fourth year. But I took an extra year because I had to finish my minor in photography. So I actually have a minor in photo. And that extra year was just to finish it. So yeah. I don't know how to tell people what year I graduated from, but I guess 2013, 2014. So yes, I was, yeah. So like I was still in school when I was like kind of with the Creatures crew and like kind of showing at that gallery and kind of learning about how to like get myself out there while I was still in school. So like sometimes I like tell people like, I guess I got my foot in the door while I was in school, but like I technically graduated. So I was just kind of like an alumni just hanging around school with some of their facilities that I was able to use.
Pretty great. Which means you started OCAD in 2009.
Yeah.
Which means it makes total sense because I also started OCAD in 2009. So it makes sense. So familiar to me.
Yeah. No, I definitely remember seeing you like through passing. I just didn't know if you were in like the faculty of art or design.
I was in criticism and curatorial practice. So we were like this little niche.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody knew. We were like,
yes. The material arts and design students as well, like the sculpture students, you guys were like small. Curator was cool though.
Like hid away in like little unknown classrooms. We didn't have a floor that was specific to our faculty or anything, but
yeah, no, I remember I had a few friends that took it, but yeah, no, I never saw you guys.
So strange. So I'm sure we know a lot of the same people, which is, you know, it just brings it all together, you know, reconnecting again.
Absolutely.
So one thing that you talk about that I think resonates with probably a lot of people is this idea of perfectionism.
Yeah.
And I think most people have suffered from this at one point or another. But can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with perfectionism? And are there any tactics that you use that other people might be able to use that help you get through that?
Okay, yeah. Perfectionism right now is a theme of OCD that I'm experiencing. I guess for a lot of people that don't know, many people that have OCD do go through different themes. There's a number of different themes, whether it's you know, stuff that has to do with harm, has to do with like stuff that has to do with like sexually, stuff that has to do with getting in trouble and like fearing things will go wrong and fearing something bad will happen. Like there's a lot of themes, but it's all interconnected as well. It's honestly like, you know, it's just doubt. It's just like a doubting disorder. And so perfectionism, I'm still working on it. I do have some practices for that set up at the moment already. Because it got pretty bad last year. That one was one that I was like, like I'm kind of falling down that hole again, where I'm like getting back into like my OCD brain, because it's like one of those obsessions that had taken up like weeks, you know. So I was like, shit, I gotta get over this one, or at least work towards that. So I. My perfectionism issue was I was obsessing about my tattoos. I have like a number of tattoos on my body, and I was obsessing about the fact that there are areas that that my skin didn't really retain ink properly, and I had realized, and a lot of people actually that have tattoos, they can't retain the red ink properly if they're getting colors, and so I'm one of them, and I just had this insanely bad obsession about areas of these tattoos that I was like, I need to get it fixed. I need to get it fixed. And I'm just like, but it's not a big deal. And you can let it go. But it's stuck like that forever. But what are you going to do? And like, I had like this thing where I was like, oh my God, it's not going to be perfect. You got to let it go. And I couldn't. And I remember like, I remember I booked an appointment for my one tattoo artist to do cover-ups. But the thing was, I didn't want to tell him it was a cover-up because it was an OCD thing, right? So I actually got another tattoo. And while I was getting that tattoo, I was like, hey, do you want to cover or, you know, fix this scenario right here? And I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, you psychopath, what is wrong with you? You literally just got a tattoo, that's fine. And I'm like pointing at this area, you know, and I'm like, can you fix this? And he's just like, what, where? And I'm like, this right here. And he's like, no one can see that. And I'm just like, yeah, but I can see that. And I remember he's just like, okay, well, sure. And I'm just like, listen, like, it's kind of a thing. Like, just, I'm going to pay you an extra tip right now to just do it and just not say anything. And in the future, if this happens again, I will also pay you again. And you just, shh, okay? It's just a thing. And so I remember going home, having a new tattoo on my one leg and then touch-ups on my other leg. And then that following night, I'm like, fine, okay, cool, neutralized, we're good, I got touch-ups. And then the next day, my brain's just like, well, what if the touch-ups you did isn't going to turn out the same as whatever you already had done, because you had gotten your tattoo a year ago or whatever, and then you got touch-ups yesterday. So it's had a year of fading already, technically. So my brain was just like going down a deeper thing that's just like, oh no, what if it doesn't? But how are you going to know? You have to wait. And I'm just kind of like going in cycles and like looping again. And I was like, okay, the new practice on this one was what was it? It kind of worked for a bit. It was like the out of sight, out of mind. I had to use that one right away. So wearing pants fully. So while I was healing anyways, it kind of worked. So I was like wearing pants to cover up fully, just wearing long sleeves so I couldn't see anything on me for a period of time. And it was like, it kind of worked, kind of didn't work for a bit, because I found that like a lot of my like habits came from like the kind of unhealthy living style that I kind of find myself in when I'm in Toronto. And so I think the tattoo thing, the practicing really helped a lot more when I was traveling in Europe. The past trip that I just came back on, I actually low key was really practicing on perfectionism with tattoos and teeth. I have a fear of chipping teeth. That's another thing. A weird thing of perfectionism that I have is like when I watch people eat and I'm eating, I can't bite on my fork because I'm scared I'll actually chip my teeth. So I've actually stared at people while they're eating and just understand that I can hear that their teeth have made like a connection to like the fork. And like now that I'm going off a tangent, this stuff all sounds right, like super, super out there. But for me, it was like super real. And so when I was traveling, I was just kind of like, okay, your tattoo and your teeth, what the fuck, just take it out of your head for now, because you're traveling. There's no way. You're just like, there's no way you're gonna have time to check all these things. And so thankfully, the 30 days kind of breaking a habit kind of thing really helped in this scenario, because since I was on the road so much, I didn't have time to check my tattoos every day or check in a mirror nonstop, right? I was always just going. And honestly, because of the people and human connection I was doing too, that helped a lot. So little did I know, my exercise was already working. It was just learning how to first separate yourself from that thought. And then secondly, using or rewiring a different behavior towards it. And maybe, through that, maybe figure out how to eliminate or at least slow down this over compulsive behavior you're doing, you can say. So for me, I was checking a lot. So for me, I just had to learn how to limit the amount of checking. So I had like a chart too for a while.
I mean, that's great. I mean, the teeth thing, like for me personally, like anytime somebody like pulls their fork on their teeth like that,
yeah,
that does not sound
for sure
at all.
Yeah, or eating an apple or something that's solid. I'm always just or biting on candy and I hear the crack. I'm just like, oh my God, it's happening. I'm chipping my teeth. And then I'll go and run to the mirror and and then come back to all my friends and I'm just like, and then run back to the mirror again and then come back. And then my friends are like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, I just had to go to the bathroom. Yeah. And then run back to the bathroom again and come back. And I'm just like, oh, I forgot my phone in there. Yeah. I'm not doing anything. So a lot of hiding a lot of the times.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You're very open. Are you very open with your experiences with your support system?
Yeah, now I am. I think over the past years, I've gotten a lot more open about it. I still go to support groups. Like I still go to there's a few OCD support groups for anyone that's like suffering. And it's really easy to get in contact with them. Like the OCA Toronto that happens at the Cam H building. It's really easy. You can Google OCA Toronto. The Toronto West OCD group that happens literally at the Romero House, which is at Bloor Street. Like it's like literally Bloor West, like on that end, on like High Park kind of area. And then there is another one, I think, that is uptown by Eglinton and Bathurst area. And I can't remember the name of that one specifically right now, but there are a series of support groups that happen throughout the week. So when I was like really sick, I was with two other friends that were also really sick that had met at one support group. And then we just went to all of them around the city because it was literally like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday there was a support group. So it gave us something to do. And at a point where I was like struggling really hard, I wasn't making art. I wasn't like contacting people properly. I wasn't even like following up and trying to make anything go further with my art practice. And ironically, every time I fall through this OCD hole, I like give up on art for a second for like a period of time. And then literally when I feel like I'm about to lose everything and I don't know what I'm doing with myself, it's through my art that's always like, it's through art that has always made me come around. Like I remember feeling super low at many points of time where I don't know how things are going to plan out. And literally I'll wake up the next morning to an email to like some gig or to some art event or some invite to something where literally I'll be like, did my art just like low key save my ass without me even realizing it? And, or did I just manifest it? Or maybe like it's just natural now. And I start believing that. I started believing like energy you can manifest it, right? Like just having positive energy too. But the thing is, it's hard being positive, right? In this world right now. So I'm still working on that. And I'm like trying to like share and trying to like help the community more right now, especially at a time that we're living in. So the OCD and me coming out and sharing like what we're doing right now, I thought it would kind of help a lot of fellow supporters or fellow strugglers who don't know how to reach out to a bigger audience and who might just be too sick to even talk about it. And yeah, that's what I'm trying to do here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's a very difficult thing for people to be vulnerable and speak about the most difficult time that they've gone through. Yeah. And so for people who have the courage to be able to do so and use your art as a way to do that, I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, no, super blessed. I will never stop thanking whoever is out in the universe giving me all these amazing opportunities and just letting me be able to continue doing what I love doing. It's absolutely incredible, and no words can ever describe how much like I'm so appreciative of that.
Yeah, that's amazing to be able to like be doing something that you feel is your why. Yeah. Almost and sort of just feeling in sync with what you're doing is really important.
For sure.
One question that just sort of comes to my mind, just because it's based on sort of my own experience, is there's this idea of who you are, and then there's your mental illness.
Yeah.
And sometimes those two things cross over one another, and I know that's something that I've struggled with.
Yep.
Do you feel like there's this dividing line between who you are and your OCD, or is there some overlap between those two things, and how do you separate them?
When I'm in the public, I try to separate the OCD as much as I can, just because maybe I'm still kind of embarrassed about it, and maybe because I don't know how like people are taking it still right now. I think, let's see, I don't know how I can answer this better, but I see it as one person now. I don't see it as separated. I can understand that there is a separation when I'm in public compared to when I'm at home, because obviously like every single person is different behind closed doors kind of thing, right? So I do think, I'm a little bit crazier when I'm alone at home, that's for sure. And I question a lot more things and doubt a lot of things when I'm at home. And I think right now I'm practicing trying to like like be at home when I can and do my work, and like when I like know that I've been at home for like a long extended amount of time, say it's been like 2 or 3 days I haven't talked to anyone, I can tell I'm just like, okay, I need to reach out and get myself out of that mind, because like a lot of the times is like when you're in autopilot mode and you're by yourself, it's really easy to fall down that hole where you start questioning things, right? But when you're in public, like for example, me interacting with people and we're talking about something, there's no way my brain can be obsessing about stuff. Even if it is, I'm still like, focused about this. So, yeah, I would still say, I guess it's separated a little bit, but all in all now it's kind of getting there. It's kind of the same.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So one question that was asked a little bit earlier on is, if you don't have a demanding travel routine, how do you find a strategy? And just hearing you talk a little bit now about obviously being connected to people and how that's really important as a coping mechanism for you when you are by yourself. And of course, when the pandemic started, that was a reality that so many of us had to deal with. And you came back from your travels like right when the pandemic started. So you're like busy traveling, doing all these cool things, doing these murals in Europe and abroad. And then you came home and everything just stopped and we had to lock down. Like, what are some of the tactics or strategies that you use when you are by yourself? And obviously with social media and with technology, we can always like reach out to people. But when that's not possible, like what are some of the things that you do?
Like, are you saying like what are strategies that I would do by myself at home if I'm obsessing about something, or if I'm having like well, here's one thing that this has nothing to do with art. What's a strategy that's really helped a lot is I got a dog 2 years ago, and I have an amazing dog that we had saved from like my family saved from like Korea. It was like one of the dog farms that they shut down, and they sent like 40 of them over here. And I guess we were on, like my dad was on Facebook and saw someone posting about it, and then there was like a global news link too. And I think he like shot it like literally right when he saw it, and he sent me the link. And I just remember him like sending me a message one day. It was like, we're getting a dog. And I was just like, no, because do you know how messy a dog is? Do you know how insanely furry a dog is? It's going to get all over my paintings. And I'm just like already being obsessive about it. And he's just like, it's too late. You need to watch this global news link. Like, and I like watched it. And I just remember I watched it, and like, I was just like, Dad, you need to take this dog home so we can give him a family. Like legitimately, like, and the next day he was there. And so he's been a really good kind of help when like I really need to like kind of reach out to something. At least there's a furry little thing there. And animals, obviously, we all know, kind of helps a lot with their depression. So that's a good way. But I guess that's not really technically a strategy. So a really good strategy is literally making a list, a to-do list of what to do. Even if you really just can't do it and you just really like don't want to do it. I know some people who are like, might be struggling, and for them that's like a really daunting experience. But the to-do list doesn't have to be big. It just has to be like 2 things, 3 things, and that's it. And the thing is, you have to promise yourself that you have to at least do those 3 things though. And somehow if you have sticky notes or something, that really helps, because you can because I was like sticking sticky notes around my house for a bit for notes wise for me to remember. And I found a good one was, like the to-do list. That one really helped because I would put it right near where I would wake up, so I would see right away and I would have those notes ready. And yeah, that's a really good strategy, I think. But you have to do it though. I think that like a lot of the recovery is all on you. You have to really want to recover to be able to do it, because I honestly don't think there's a magic pill for it. As much as I'm on medication, I believe through like therapy and through medication can you like get over this hump. But like I said, it's like OCD is like diabetes. It's one of those things, and I really hope people understand that more. When you had asked me earlier, what's something that I wish people would take away more from, and I said that I wish that there's a stigma around it, and because it's like it is serious, it's like kind of like a thing. But the thing is, like, it's kind of like when someone has diabetes. It's like they have to have like that, like an EpiPen, otherwise, like, you know, they like something seriously bad could happen. And some people with OCD like just has to be medicated because like, or some people with very severe ones, at least, it just has to be medicated. But the thing is, that's not just the winning answer. A lot of it has to do from yourself, and I think that's like a really important thing.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, because I
Mm-hmm.
think holding true to something you tell yourself that you're going to do is really powerful.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think a lot of people don't recognize that, like, in the same way that if you tell me you're going to do something as a friend and you don't do it, I lose trust in you. And I
oh,
think
for
we
sure,
have the same relationship with ourselves. When
for
you say
sure.
you're going to do something for yourself and then you don't do it, you start to lose trust and faith in yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful point, that you have to commit to it. It's not just saying you're going to do it, it's actually committing to it.
Yeah, exactly. Because like, you know, well, it's just kind of obvious. Like our brains are tricking ourselves already. So like you kind of have to rewire your brain by like kind of giving yourself a motive or giving yourself a reason to be doing something, right? And I know a lot of people who are seriously depressed that can't find reasons to get up in the morning. Well, I get it. You have to get up in the morning still at some point. But when you can, you know, when you're comfortable enough, write and make like 2 notes, 3 notes or something of what just what you're going to do today. And it could be as easy as just walk down the street and go to the park, or go pick up your mail, or go pick up toothpaste, something very small. And that really comes a long way, I think, for some people.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
a great coping mechanism. I think
it
that's
is. It is. I think,
fantastic advice.
yeah, there. It's like kind of just like like a very good coping mechanism, I think.
And dogs.
So yeah. Well, I gotta walk my dog anyway, so I mean, like, I might as well go for a walk. So yeah.
True.
Mm.
So we are somehow, this always happens, and a part of it is my fault for my Wi-Fi cutting out, but we're
Oh
at
no, it's okay.
57 minutes.
Ooh, so we're almost done.
I know, but it's okay. We're gonna keep going, just because, if you're okay with that, just for a
Yeah,
little
for
while
sure.
longer, because
Yeah.
your community responded really positively. They asked some really thoughtful questions, and I just want to be able to address some of those.
Yes, of course. Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm going to start with some of the ones that were on the gram. The
Cool.
first one is from none other than Big on Blurfest.
Okay.
Just asking the question, do you feel that public art could be doing more with mental health?
Oh my God. I saw that question. And that question kind of blew my mind, because I won't get into it too deep, but I recently had like a quick debate with like an ex-politician that was I can't remember which party he was working for a few years ago, but he's under the Conservative Party though, and we were like talking about stuff, and because he was like on the conservative side, a lot of his views were a lot different from mine, and so when it came to the public art, he pointed it out as like a very random thing. He was like, I almost wish right now public art should be focusing on more on mental health when they can. I get it. Race is really important. There's a lot of and I'm not trying to say that this isn't good at all. Like, it's good that there's a lot of murals talking about social justice. I'm wondering whether there could be too much at the moment in terms of like there's like new public pieces coming out every day that's talking about social justice, which is absolutely amazing. But sometimes I kind of wish it was pushing more towards the mental health section. And I think, yeah, like public art could really be reaching out to that. And I think, you know, in a few years, maybe there will be even more. And that could really help.
Yeah, I mean, like what my organization does is essentially that specific goal. So like, I agree 110% with that.
Well, yeah, it's like I get it. Social justice is super important. It's everywhere. Literally, it's so much that sometimes I wonder if it's too much. That I'm like, I want to see some more mental health kind of things going on, because like they're struggling too. It's important too.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
so many issues going on at the moment that I think COVID specifically has highlighted,
Yeah.
like mental health, homelessness, addiction,
Yeah.
obviously racial injustice.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, I definitely think that kind of biased, but I kind of feel like public art, like you say, definitely should be addressing some of the things that have gone unaddressed for so long.
Oh,
So,
for sure. Like, yeah, like when you even pointed out addiction, that's like a very serious thing. And I wish, like, yeah, that could be something that's more addressed for sure in public art.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
it's important. Well, I mean, like, I have like a whole, like, I believe addiction kind of ties into OCD too. And I kind of believe like it's like an addictive behavior, a repetitive kind of process, a very like constant ritual that you're kind of doing. So I get it. Like it kind of ties into addiction. So yeah, public art needs to be speaking about more of that.
This is an offhand question just based on what you just said, but
Yeah.
does OCD ever feel comforting in a way? Do those like tendencies feel comforting? Because I know that
Yeah. I know every single product that I'm gonna sell to my customer is literally perfect. Um, and my customer satisfaction is gonna be 100% every time because I will probably have checked like 100 times before I've given it to them.
right.
So that kind of helps. I'm not like my house isn't very like neat at all. Like and I'm pretty messy, but the art I do is really neat. So like to me, it's really important for that to be like good, and so that's definitely like a plus. Also because I'm very like my mind's so active. I guess this could be a plus because of like yeah, my OCD brain is so active. I'm always thinking about different stuff. I'm always doing a bunch of stuff. Like there's a lot of things that I'm like working with right now, or there's a lot of things that I'm kind of doing right now at the moment that I'm super excited about, and I think that's kind of a plus too, because like I'm kind of searching for ways to distract myself, and I guess too much of that isn't a good thing, but in terms of finding things to distract myself, yeah, like I've been pretty busy lately.
Good thing, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna take like one of these. You know what? I'm just gonna go over the hour. This is technically the last foreseeable episode in this series.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
so many good questions
Yeah. Why is this the last episode?
for the foreseeable future. So we'll
I
see. We'll
see.
see. Um,
Okay. Okay.
so Kyle asks, "Have you tried meditation to help cope?"
Yes. I have tried meditation, and I can almost say I'm not very good at meditation, unfortunately, because I know that it's such like being in a state of mindfulness is where you want to be, right? And meditation is like obviously the way to go. But for me, my brain is just I don't know. It's really hard for me to like stay quiet or my brain to stay quiet. So I had realized I was easier, like I was able to get into that mindfulness mode easier through painting for sure. Like I can achieve it through painting, but I can't through meditating. But I 100% meditating is a great way to cope if you're able to get into that like that mode of like of comfort where everything around you is like always one, you know.
Yeah. So art is that form of like therapy for you. It's
For
like a
sure, for
meditation.
sure. Because I don't know how to describe how it feels to attain that feeling when you're meditating, but I can tell you I've like attained it from painting like a long enough time to just to be completely zoned out enough, or no, not zoned out, but in the like moment enough that it's almost like yeah, you're like you've zoned out from all those like demon thoughts that you've had, and when you go back to those thoughts, it's almost like it's neutralized.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna try to like get through all of these,
Oh
but
yeah, let's get through some of these questions. Some of these questions are good, very good.
A second question is from Darren, and he asks, "Any tips for designers channeling OCD tendencies to be productive?"
Oh, that one's really hard because like you can have like your personality could be really OCD. Like you can have like an obsessive compulsive like personality disorder kind of thing. Like my dad has that where like he's just like he has to have things done in a certain way. It has to be done like that. It has to be done in his way. Otherwise, he will do it again or he will do it himself. So designers like designers, obviously, that channel a lot of OCD tendencies, I think a lot of that could be normal. I think that might not necessarily be a bad thing, because they're just tendencies. I think when those tendencies are taking up more time than you actually working on your project, I think that's when it's going to be, something to start looking at.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
You're so positive. Thank you.
So the next question. So I think some of these questions we've actually answered throughout the conversation, which I think speaks to the value of the answers that you've given throughout.
Okay.
The one question is, how do you deal with your OCD on a daily basis, and how has it helped your creative process? If there's anything around that question that you feel that you haven't answered.
Okay, so can you repeat that one more time?
Okay. How do you deal with your OCD on a daily basis, and has it helped your creative process?
It's definitely helped my creative process, because how I deal with my OCD now on a daily basis is that I know that it's already it's already there. Like, I know, like, it's there. Like, even right now as we're talking, like, it's kind of there, So how I deal with it is now, like, I just kind of understand it's like a second voice. It's just kind of like it's not really me. It's just like an extension of me, almost, in a way. And so I've started realizing that to try to separate myself from my OCD self when it comes to, like, those, like, demon thoughts that, like, I'll get, or those intrusive thoughts. So that has been kind of helpful. And then in terms of how it's, like, fueled some of my creativity is, honestly, if I'm obsessing about something and I really can't get my mind off it, and I know I have work that has to be done that's art related, and I'm so tired, or I'm so, like, not wanting to do it, I'll literally just, like, I'll go get a coffee, or I'll just have to, like, do something to, like, wake me up. And I'll just start. I'll just have to start, because, like, if I'm, like, obsessing about something and I can't get it out of my head, I don't want to sleep, because I don't want to go down that one. So sometimes I'll just straight up start researching. Like, I'll start researching whatever project I'm working on, or I'll start something small, like, what did the client really want me to do? And then just look into that and start small like that. Yeah.
That's a good answer. Okay, so this is a bit more of a specific question.
Okay.
So being an adult with mental health, this question is, what is your experience with CAMH, and do you think they are doing all they can to support the mental health and addiction community?
Are we specifically saying CAMH as the organization?
That was the one that was quoted.
Okay.
But I think you could also speak more generally if you don't have specific experience with CAMH.
Okay, because I have really mixed feelings about CAMH, to be honest. I hear that there's good intentions behind it. There's good reasoning for what they're doing, but I hear they're not really, like, well, I might not be able to share some of these properly, since I don't have full on evidence, so I don't want to say things that aren't fully true. But I can tell you, however, I think the healthcare system that's been in place and CAMH's model could be a little bit more adjusted. I think some of the programs that they have are they're okay, and that's it. They're okay. And I think people that have like, actually, like, the addiction wing of it, and people that have to, like, go for, like, emergency there, like, yeah, like, there's a lot of people that's through that building in CAMH. And I mean, I hear sometimes they're okay, but I hear sometimes they're really not doing their job properly. And I, as someone who has OCD, would just really wish that there'd be better programming for there. Because I know for a fact there's not really much of a program specifically for OCD at CAMH. And yeah, Sunnybrook, I guess, maybe. Sunnybrook, maybe. But even that program that's going on at Sunnybrook, yeah, it's good. The CBT program that's going there, that a lot of people are in line trying to get, which is, like, literally, like, it's like CBT for, like, OCD specifically. There's, like, a waiting line of, like, 2 years or something, like a wait list of, like, something ridiculous. And there's no way There's no way that some people who are suffering as bad as I was can wait that long. That makes no sense. And it's just because they don't have enough people working at Sunnybrook right now. But also, like, it's COVID too now, especially. So people have to figure out different ways of coping, which I'm sorry to say, it's really hard too for people that barely had coping mechanisms before COVID, let alone now. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I think there's a huge gap between the help that people need in regards to mental health and what's available, and also that like physical and mental health are viewed and the way that funding is allocated.
There's got to be more funding. There's like, I honestly wish there were more, like, I just wish there were more specialists that were able to provide services for people that not only specifically OCD. I'm sure people that have like borderline personality disorder, something that's like more like schizophrenia. I'm trying to think of some other disorders that I think they have specialists for, but they don't have enough of. And for OCD especially, I think is like a very small population of like help that we can really get at this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I don't want to speak too much to programming that I personally haven't been through, but I've heard some of the same things as well, that there are these lengthy waiting lists. And for people, in certain circumstances, it can mean the difference between life and death sometimes.
Absolutely. And there's and that's why there's these support groups that are free that I started going to. And there are support groups for people with anxiety, people with like mood disorders. I think that was the name for one of the other organizations. But anyways, there are like support groups that are free to go to, if you need to like sit down and talk with a group, and like it's cool. It's kind of like an AA meeting, but like it's not really like an AA meeting. It's just like we're just talking about stuff, and it's like 3 hours or 2 hours, but it really helps because it's a way of communicating and a way of connecting.
Yeah, definitely. Knowing that you're not alone is a really powerful experience.
Absolutely. And every single time I leave that support group or leave whatever group that I'm in, I always feel a little bit better, or I feel a little bit warmer inside, because I know that I wasn't the only one that had a hard week, or I wasn't the only one that had a hard day. And it's good to see that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that's why things like this are so important, because maybe somebody watching who's having the same experience as you are like, I see myself in that person and their experiences, and I feel less crazy,
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, honestly, like I can tell you right now, I'm pretty crazy. That's cool. That's fine. I'm pretty weird. That's cool. But I'm not like a sicko or like some psycho, or like I'm not something that's just overboard. I'm just the right amount of crazy, and and it works. And and like being able, like, for me, having a voice to be able to share some of these insights, it's important to me, because like, I know that there are strugglers out there that just are starting to wonder like what's going on, or wondering if they might have stuff that's kind of like in this realm, even when like even with people that's just constantly biting their nails, all the way to like just, pulling out their hair a bit, pulling out some eyelashes a bit, picking at their skin a bit turns into a lot, and before you know it, that's in the same realm, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, we have technically one last question, because I think you answered, you brought up Sunnybrook, and one of the questions was about that.
The
last technical question is, what has your daily routine been like during COVID? And can you speak to any self-care routines that you've leaned into?
Oh, yeah, self-care routines that I've leaned into. Okay. Yes. One of the new rules that I've had, one of the new rules is I have to be up before like 11 a.m. I know it sounds late, but for me, that's like kind of like, that was like, I used to wake up at like 4. Okay. So so 11 as the latest. And I get like a little gummy bear or something, or I'll reward myself if I wake up at like 9 or 9:30. So that's like one thing that like that's been helping a lot, because I know COVID times, like we're basically living a schedule. So that's one. Another one is, I guess it kind of works hand in hand, is like going to bed a little bit earlier. I'm not doing all-nighters anymore. I was like for a bit, but I'm trying not to now. So that's like helped. So like I'm trying to limit the amount of coffees that I'm drinking on the daily. And then another really good exercise, but like I said, I guess it kind of doesn't count, is the walking. Since I have a dog, I'm walking at least 2 or 3 times a day, right? Mm-hmm. So, it's the first walk that I don't want to do, right? Because I don't want to really do it. But the second and third one gets easier. But I find after I come back from that first walk, whether it's just around the block, it always kind of makes me be like, okay, I've woken up, I'm up here, like, let's get on with today, let's do it. So
yeah, I always feel like the way that you start your day sort of sets the tone and intention for the rest of the day. Yeah. So if you wake up, reward yourself with a gummy bear and go take your dog for a walk, that sounds like a really good way to start your day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, technically that is all of the questions. If anyone has any questions that they feel were not answered in any way, I mean, Andre, if you feel comfortable, maybe you could answer them like in written or something. We'll leave them in the comments below. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to leave them. We will get to them at a later date, because we're at 1 hour and 15 minutes. So we're technically overboard.
Perfect. That sped up. That was super fast.
I know.
Yeah.
It felt like no time.
Exactly.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's always a good thing.
So thank you so much for taking this 1 hour and 15 minutes to talk to us, to be
for sure
and vulnerable about your experience. I think it's really useful for people, especially speaking about OCD, which I feel like is not talked about as openly as anxiety or depression.
Absolutely. And I wish we could talk about it more, and I wish it was more easy to talk about.
Yeah, but conversations like this, they slowly chip away at that. And so
absolutely
counts, and eventually, hopefully, we'll get into a space where there's less stigma around it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So thank you for everybody who asked all your questions, your amazing community who left all the questions on Instagram. Thank you to everybody who's left comments or asked questions throughout the live stream. Mm-hmm. And hopefully we'll continue doing this series, and maybe, who knows, we'll have like a follow-up conversation.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you so much for having me today. It was a good and insightful hour.
Yeah, for me too. Like, Wi-Fi thing that happened, but we're just
no, it's okay. It was commercial break. It's commercial break.
Exactly. Yeah. You needed a little bit of a break in between there. So
exactly.
Okay, so to everybody who's watching, thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
And hopefully see you all soon.